Good evening, everyone. Good evening. It is now a couple of minutes after 6 o'clock, and our meeting was supposed to start at 6. I'm Phyllis Clark, and I am the clerk of the Township, and I'd like to give you a few, pointers on how this meeting is going to go this evening. There are pink forms in the back for anyone who wished to speak to the electorate this evening about the issues that's on the agenda or whatever it is that you may want to speak to them about. You will have 5 minutes if you wish to speak per person. You all are required to elect a moderator to moderate this meeting this evening, so from among those that's here, if you have someone that you would like to moderate this meeting, it will be your choice to choose that person. Is there any questions? Okay, so at this point, I would like to call this meeting to order. It is now 6:04. I would need someone we have to call for the approval of the minutes of the April 14th. A copy of those minutes are on the back of your agenda. That's listed on the board, on the table back there. So if you would like to take a few minutes to review those minutes, I would appreciate that. And we would need a motion from the floor and a second from the floor to approve them.
So moved.
Second.
Can I have your name of the mover and the seconder?
Aaron Hammond.
Diane Marvin.
Those who approve the ayes and the nays for this, may I have the ayes on the vote of this of these minutes?
Aye.
Anyone objecting? Okay, so that passes. At this point is the time to elect a moderator, so please choose from among the electors that's here someone that you think will be good to chair the rest of this meeting. Those that you nominate must approve to do it. You can't just nominate someone.
It has to be one of the elected officials, you said?
No, anyone.
Anyone.
Yes.
I nominate Charlie.
I think Naomi.
Charlie has been nominated. Is there a second to Charlie?
Second, Esther Pat.
Okay. And what's the lady's name? What was your name?
Dorothy Newman.
Dorothy Newman? Okay.
Esther Pat.
All of those in favor of Charlie chairing the meeting tonight say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, so ordered. Yes, and I have to give you your oath of office, Charlie. Okay. Now repeat after me.
Oh, I'll try.
Okay. I,
I,
your name, please.
Charlie Smythe,
Do solemnly
do
swear
solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
the duties of moderator
the duties of moderator
at this town meeting,
at this town meeting,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you. Can you sign that for me? At this time, I turn the meeting over to our moderator.
Okay, well, welcome everybody, and try to get those of you who want to speak tonight should fill out a pink form and get it to wander up here, and hopefully, I know some of you want to go to the 7 o'clock meeting in Champaign, so but remember, you can only vote in this election, in this town board, if you're an Urbana resident living in Cunningham Township. Okay. The first item is public participation, so I'll just start working down the list here. You have up to 5 minutes, but feel free to cut it shorter. There's a microphone here. Just please just state your name, and then you have up to 5 minutes. And Phyllis here will warn you when you've got a minute left. So first person speaking is Brian Blaylock, I believe is.
Hi, I'll make this very brief. I hadn't actually prepared anything to say. My name's Brian Blaylock. I'm a registered nurse at a local hospital, and I just wanted to speak about it in terms of healthcare and what it means there. And I'm not going to speak to it as a medical marijuana issue, but more the way that it is used to stigmatize rather than to provide clinical information. In comparison to other substances, it has a minimal impact on healthcare. It doesn't provide the withdrawal symptoms that alcohol has. I have personally had patients swing at me coming out of alcohol withdrawal. It's something I've never experienced for marijuana. I've had patients come in to the hospital for side effects of alcohol. I've never had that happen with marijuana. I've seen it far more used to stigmatize poor people than I have seen it be used as clinical information. I have never seen a doctor take into account the use of that for anything other than really to look down on a patient. And I just wanted to say that that's something that, compared to other substances that we can deem legal in our society, the risks of that are so minimal. And that's really all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. We have some extra. We have some extra chairs. Try to fill in here. I may not want to sit. We got some tables back here on either side. If some people want to sit here, I know those of you who are elected officials are used to sitting over here. Feel free to come over here. And join in. So try to get as many people seated and comfortable as possible. Okay, next up is Mike Lehman.
Hi, my name's Mike Lehman. I live on East Green Street here in Urbana. I'll just quickly run through a number of points. Hopefully they won't get too redundant, and everybody should have their say, though. Last poll I saw shows that 61% of the American public support the legalization of marijuana. Most candidates for office aren't that popular. 80%, over 80% in Illinois support the highly restrictive medical marijuana. Our politicians are far more afraid of marijuana than the public is. That is a questionable use of resources, to say the least, to go after people for that criminally. It's not just a Democratic thing. It's not just a Bernie thing. It's not just a Green thing. It's a Republican thing, too. 40% of Republicans, roughly, if you look at it, support legalization. That's a lot of people. You can't be against this and get elected in the next few years. So people should really start thinking about this politically, and I think that's what this resolution does, even though it is non-binding. Urbana has been a state leader in progressive legislation, so this is something that I think the people of Urbana widely support. The police have better things to do, quite frankly. This is not a threat to the public, other than the fact that there is a black market. If you want that problem to go away, you tax it and regulate it, quite frankly. And that's exactly what this proposes to do, because that's what Colorado has done. It's something that hasn't resulted in the end of civilization as we know it. If you read the News Gazette, you would think that, but that's just not true, folks. Come on. The facts are facts, and you don't read them about marijuana in the News Gazette for the most part, so people should keep that in mind. It also contributes a lot to racial disparity and racial animosity, because it's very clear that African Americans and other minorities use cannabis at roughly the same rate as everybody else in this country. And yet they find themselves, I believe Illinois is one of the most racially disparate states in terms of enforcement. It's like 8 times as likely to be imprisoned or otherwise, feel the rule of the law if you're African American. That just needs to stop. The best way to do it is just to say, this is not a police issue for the most part, and it shouldn't be. I have been going to rallies, been active. My first rally I went to was in 1975, probably before most of the people in this room were born. The march has been onward pretty steady, except for a brief interruption with the Just Say No madness in the mid-'80s. I don't know what people were thinking about Reagan anyway, but that's just my opinion. But, like I said, most Republicans now are thinking differently about this, even if they don't support it yet. I think politicians need to get on board, and this sends a good, strong message that this is what they should do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to butcher a few names here, but my apologies in advance. Irenka Carney?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Irenka Carney, and I'm an Urbana resident. And obviously, there are many facets to this issue, and I'm very grateful that there are so many passionate advocates here that are covering issues like the very obvious, discrimination and undue burden that is put on non-white citizens that are penalized excessively, and the medical aspects as well. I'm going to speak specifically about my experience as an American with a severe chronic pain issue. I have debilitating fibromyalgia. It's a diagnosis of exclusion. So for the past decade, my partner and I have gone into crippling debt to pay for all the tests to prove I have it by testing for everything else. And now that I'm fortunate to have a practitioner who understands it and we are in treatment, we still spend almost half our income on all the doctor's visits and supplements and medications, and they really only just take the edge off. And my doctor and a wide range of medical professionals believe that for patients like me with issues like fibromyalgia, cannabis can be much more effective and also have way less stress on my body. I've dealt with so many side effects from this myriad of drugs. And I am in the process of waiting to be certified for the compassionate use of cannabis program in Illinois, and I'm grateful that that program is here. And I'm also very grateful to be in a community that has decriminalized marijuana and has also brought down the fine. But it is not enough, because in addition to it still having an expense and a barrier for people to apply to it, part of the process is also a criminal background check. And especially considering the uneven way many crimes are enforced against people, it is not fair to deny people that are in as much pain as me or more pain than me access to this resource just because they have a criminal record. They shouldn't be made to suffer, because it is, I deal with a debilitating amount of pain. And I know from research and from my chronic health support groups, I am far from alone, and I am far from the worst case scenario. And I'm very lucky that my husband and I can still get by paycheck to paycheck with all these expenses and the fact that I can't work so much at the time. But in addition to all the other reasons like economic incentives and criminal justice, there's just no reason to keep Americans from being able to work and have the actual pursuit of happiness and a healthy life by denying this valuable medical resource for no good reason. So we need to take these barriers down, and we need to be able to let Illinois put it to a vote, because I think Illinois will come forward and say, this is ridiculous. We need to embrace cannabis as a resource. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, if anybody else wishes to speak, please fill out a form and get it up to me. Next up, Eric Jacobson.
I'm really thrilled to be here on an occasion like this. One of the things that has not there, I don't want to be redundant with what other people have said or what I've said previously. I want to talk about something else, and that is the fact that because of marijuana's illegal status, researchers such as those at the University of Illinois can't do research on it. You can't get the stuff, you can't count on getting it. you just can't do it. So while many people here have testified to what we do know about marijuana, there are really important things we don't know. On the negative side, we absolutely don't have reliable data on the long-term side effects. On the sort of law enforcement side, the one legitimate concern about any drug that modifies psyche is impaired driving. We don't have a good test for driving under the influence of marijuana, and we should. On the other hand, any drug that modifies psychological affect is a potential drug for affective disorders, such as depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, that absolutely can't be assessed until marijuana is legal. Now, if we do this in Illinois, I mean, it might actually be good if you're a type A person and you're a really dangerous driver because you're impatient. You actually might be a better driver if you have a little buzz. So we really need to know more, and we can't know, and we have the people at the University of Illinois who could contribute to that knowledge. We can't do it until marijuana is legalized. Now, if we only do it in the state, that won't be enough, but hopefully Urbana will be a stepping stone for the state will be a stepping stone for the nation, and we can finally become sane about marijuana.
Thank you. Humor is always welcome at these meetings. Benjamin Stone, you've checked both in support and in support but don't wish to speak. Do you wish to speak or not? Or just simply want, you just want to be recognized as in support? Got it? Next up, James Ruggieri.
Hello, sir, ma'am. My name is James Ruggieri. I'm a restaurant and business manager. Been in this area for the last 20-some years, 15 working in restaurants and stuff locally. And what I wanted to say is basically you've heard a lot of stuff about the more noble aspects, the medicinal aspects, the trying to reduce crime, trying to reduce some of the anger in the world. My opinion has been a little bit less noble. I just see it financially as a capitalist. I'm looking at our options to make more money for our state and for our people, basically just by selling a plant that I don't see has any negative consequences that are going to make it illegal, give it a good reason why we shouldn't be selling it and making money off of it and building our roads back up. And when you see states like Colorado who are paying back some of their debts and paying off their roads and even sending refunds back to their people, it seems like that's something we could really be doing here and get in on it now before every state's doing it and be a leader in it instead of just being a follower. That's about all I had to say about it.
Thank you. Next up, James Browning.
I think he just wants to be recognized in support of.
Okay, right, both boxes are checked. Okay. James Browning in support. Deanna Ammons, also, you don't wish to speak, just in support of? Okay. And then Allison Hayes, in support, but does not wish to speak. And, okay, Alexander Bremer, in support, but doesn't wish to speak. And then, okay, Julius Irvin, doesn't wish to speak, but is in support. Sam Schoenberg, doesn't wish to speak, but is in support. Abraham Matlock, I hope I've got the right pronunciation, my apologies if not, in support, but doesn't wish to speak. And then Olivia Webb wishes to speak.
Hello. My name's Olivia Webb. I'm an alum of the University of Illinois, and I currently work for their Institute for Sustainability. But I've been informally involved with the drug policy reform movement across the country. And I don't wish to speak for anyone. I'm just speaking about what I've heard talking to marijuana legalization advocates. I'm in support of the movement for reasons that have already been stated. I just want to say one thing very quickly. I would hope that part of the conversation is removing elitism from the movement. Some of what we've seen in states that have legalized cannabis and regulated it is that the taxes and the licensing processes are such high barriers to entry, either on the sale or the retail side, that we're shutting out communities, minority communities, and other people that have been that have had the most harm from the drug war are now barred from participating in our victory over it. So I would just hope that that's part of the conversation, but I do support the legalization of cannabis in Champaign-Urbana.
Thank you. And Aaron Ammons.
Aaron Ammons. I live in the city of Urbana, and so first I want to say that there's a roundtable decriminalization of cannabis discussion that will take place on April 26th. State Representative Carol Ammons is hosting it with Reverend Alex Sharp, clergy for a new drug policy, and Dan Lynn of Normal, Illinois. They will discuss the implications and the potential of decriminalization of cannabis in Illinois. April 26th, the doors open at 5 p.m., roundtable discussion at 6 p.m. at the Accord, 51 East Main Street in Champaign. And I think it's important to speak to that because if we are going to get this passed, then we have to have legislators who are open and amenable to the legalization question that we want to have on the ballot. I want to also give a face to the impact, as the young lady who spoke previously, as I went through dealing with a felony conviction, part of which was due to a total of 27 grams of marijuana, was part of the reason why I had a felony conviction and was locked out of different opportunities for I don't know how many years of my life, right? And so now today or last week for me to take a tour of the dispensary that's going to be opened in Champaign and watch how this plant is going to be sold from a cash register, it's a very, as we say in the street, I'm feeling some kind of way about that, right? To see now that other folks are going to make I don't know how much money off of it. People are going to get the medicine that they need, but I know there's a lot of people whose lives have been destroyed. So I'm going to be advocating along with the young lady who just spoke to say that make sure that the communities that have been devastated by this failed drug war will also reap some of the revenue and some of the profits that are going to come off of the sale of the cannabis plant. And my shirt is made out of hemp that I got on, right? So there's other industrial products that are going to come from this. It is going to be a major cash crop for our community. And lastly, I want to say, to give a face to this one other time, certainly I appreciate the work that we've done in Urbana to lower the fine from $300 to $50. But I just got a call today from a young lady, African-American young lady, who in the city of Champaign received a $340 ticket for what amounted to, she said, probably is $1 worth of marijuana. A $340 ticket, and then if you don't pay it within the time frame that you're supposed to pay it, she went there to pay it today, to pay it in cash, and they said, no, you didn't come within the 3-week time period, now you've got to go to court. So now you're going to have the court costs on top of that. So the economic burden and exploitation of the poor, and primarily African American, is exactly one of the issues that I want to address. So I'm hoping that as we move this thing forward, we don't have to wait until it hits legalization or decriminalization in the state of Illinois. There's work that can be done in our cities here locally to address these issues before we get there. So I'm, of course, in support of the question being on the ballot, and I thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that wishes to actually speak? I'll read these names off. Okay. And additionally, all these folks are in favor. Jared Miller, Paul Kothimer, Patrick East, and Brianna Goodman. Anyone else? Okay, going once? Okay. Okay, one more coming up. Okay. A couple, okay. Oh, no, go ahead. I assume you're, okay, Carrie Anderson is also in support but doesn't wish to speak, and I assume you're Owen Anderson?
I am. Owen Anderson. I live over here on Poplar Street in Urbana. It's very...
Pull the mic a little bit towards you, please.
Sorry about that. I'm Owen Anderson. I live over here in Urbana, and the issue of recreational marijuana legalization or decriminalization has been obviously a pretty big one that's been sweeping the nation. And one thing that I'd like to point out that I think a lot of people forget is that at the time that it was signed into law, when it was scheduled as a Schedule I drug, we already knew that it had medicinal value. About 5 years before that, a Dr. Raphael McCoolum of the University of Israel discovered the tetrahydrocannabinoid molecule that is the active ingredient in marijuana. Immediately after that, he began making pharmaceuticals that were helping people. And they'd gone into their testing phases when Nixon had signed that law. So we've known all along that marijuana never fit the description of a Schedule I drug, and I'm glad to see that our community is considering changing that. And that was all I had.
Some additional names here also all in support, but don't wish to speak. Cedric Smith, Paige Timon, Jim Bean, Nancy Livingston, Paul Little, and Richard Ebershade. Anyone else? Okay. We'll move on. We'll get to the vote in just a second. The next item on the agenda is the annual financial statement of Supervisor fiscal year 2014 to 2015. And Phyllis has that.
There was some copies of it on the table back there as well.
Okay. It might pass around. This is the financial statements for the town of Cunningham, the town board, on which the city council members actually serve as the town board representatives. These are the financial statements as of June 30th, 2015. And there is an independent auditor's report on page 1. Let's see. I'll just read the first paragraph just so people know what it is. We have audited the accompanying modified cash basis financial statements of the governmental activities and each major fund of the town of Cunningham, Illinois, as of and for the year ended June 30th, 2015, and the related notes to the financial statements which collectively comprise the township's basic financial statements as listed in the table of contents. So let's see. The findings. In our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly, all in material respects, the respective modified cash basis financial position of the governmental activities and each major fund of the town of Cunningham, Illinois, as of June 30th, 2015, and the respective changes in modified cash basis financial position thereof for the year ended in accordance with the basis of accounting described in Note 1. I think that's the significant items. The net position, total net position, let's see, at the end of, on June 30th, 2015, $2,553,290. So, is there anything else I need to state from here? That's good. Okay, motion to approve this? Okay, so what I need from someone is a motion to approve this financial. Dorothy?
We accept the financial
been moved by Dorothy Newman to approve the financial and seconded by Naomi Jacobson. Is there any discussion? Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The financial report is approved. Okay, next up is the advisory question of public policy. Should the state of Illinois legalize and regulate the sale and use of marijuana in a similar fashion as the state of Colorado? Is there a motion? Is there a second? It's been moved by Naomi, seconded by Aaron. Those are the names I know. My apologies. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. And I'm just... I'm just curious how many people are here. Diane, can you get a quick count? There are 3 up here, not including our 2 reporters.
We can't hear you.
Just trying to get a quick count of how many votes we had in favor here. We have 3 up here on the left, and
Did they sign?
yeah. Oh, if they signed, if you signed, we've got to count.
Well, just quickly then. So we have 4 up here.
No, we have we have the count here on the forms.
Everybody signed in?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay. So we have. Okay.
In Champaign, Township, in Champaign, 7 o'clock. We got to do it again over there.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so one more motion. Here, got one more item here. Okay, the time and place of the next annual town meeting is set for April 11th, 2017. I assume here, or again at the city building, and at the same time, 6 p.m.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, motion to approve the time and place.
I so moved.
Moved by Esther Pat and seconded by Marcy Goldstein. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Seeing no further business, a move to adjourn. Moved by Aaron, seconded by Marcy. We are adjourned.